So now we did talk about long positions, but just to review, if you think a stock is going to go up, you're long. You're going to go long in that position. It's buy and hold. Now we may hold it for 22 seconds like the average stock is held in our market, or it could be for hours, days, weeks, or months, but it's where we think it's going to go up. Shorting stock, again, we described this in 101, but shorting stock is the expectation where it's going to go down. We're borrowing the stock from the broker, selling it. The money goes into our account. When it drops down, we buy it back cheaper. So we can play the market either way, but let's take a look at the big picture. Here's a chart of the Dow for the last 100 years. As a matter of fact, it goes back all the way to 1899 and all the way up to 2009. And I'll give you the last 4 years in the next chart. But if you just look at the screen and you follow the arrow that you're seeing, it goes from the bottom left to the top right. So if you were alive and if you were in the market for this 110-year period of time, bottom left, top right, you made money. But each time it leveled off, and you can see I'm putting in a few lines right here. Right here, if you lived or traded during that decade from what, 1929 to 1933, that was the stock market crash, you didn't do so well. And then right here, if you were invested from what, 35 to 1944, pretty flat. You didn't make anything either. It's kind of like where we are in the market today. The last 14 years, a lot of people are just treading water. 1964 to 1974, pretty flat, up and down, but not much going on. Then there was a beautiful run from 1980 through basically 2000. If you made money in the market there and booked the profit, you did fantastic. And then from there, it's been pretty flat. Now let's get a little bit closer in. We're going to take a look at another chart. This right here, when we take a look at this chart, this is the Dow from 2004 to 2013, where we are today. Now you can see on the bottom left, the Dow back in 2004, the 2003, it was what, about 8,500, and today we're at 15,000. So it's a nice move up, but there's that big move down in the middle. That was where it bottomed out in March of 09. So it just depends. We could look at any chart, and if you were here and if you were there, but the reality is today. It's not what happened in the past, it's what are you doing right now? How are you going to do things differently so you can have confidence to know that you're going to make money and not lose money? That's what Cool Trade is all about. You set it, and I'm not going to say set it and forget it, but you set it and it carries out your orders. It's your employee, it's the robot that does it for you. It's a beautiful thing. So again, long versus short, we understand that shorting stock is where we make money on the way down. Selling something that we don't own, borrowing the stock from our broker. It's a great way to make money in the stock market, and you certainly can do this. But in the market itself, our emotions rule. And that's why robotic trading is a great tool to take the emotions out of it. But let's go through this, and I want you to kind of see these emotions and how it works. We get emotionally involved in this process called the stock market and trading. When we buy a stock and it goes up, we feel smart. We pick the right stock and it moves up. We feel good. We're proud when it goes up. Notice all the emotional words. I feel smart. I feel proud. Then when it goes down, we feel a little distressed. Sounds emotional, doesn't it? And then when there's some negative news, and maybe it's bad news, maybe it's something that there was a rumor out there and affects our stock, we're upset because somebody is saying something about the stock that we chose and we feel proud about, we're upset. And then maybe the stock just stays flat, doesn't go anywhere, and we're apathetic. Not even going to look at it anymore. Or worse, we have all this volatility. So we watch CNBC in the morning before we leave the house, and we kind of clue in the middle of the day while we should be relaxing a little bit. And at the end of the day, we listen to the business report and we see all the volatility and the noise in the market, and it upsets us. It's uncomfortable. And then sometimes we get disgusted because our stock goes down and maybe gets delisted. I mean, I've got a couple of those, like Boston Market, right? Just gets delisted and you just say, I don't even want to look at that thing anymore. And you make it so it can't even show up on your screen. We've all got those dogs in our account somewhere, guys. But this whole concept of emotionally trading the market is kind of like being on a roller coaster. And as you look at that picture, I just want you to look at the four faces that you see. I mean, here, look at this girl on the bottom left. She is screaming with joy. Obviously, things are going very well for her in the stock market on this roller coaster. Then you got the girl right next to her. It looks like she's shrieking in terror right there. She doesn't like what's coming up ahead. And then you got the girl in the back row on the left. She is terrified. She is holding on for her life going on this roller coaster ride called the stock market. And then you got the guy in the back right who's about to blow his lunch all over her lap. I mean, he is ready to check out. And that's what the stock market is. The market is moving up and down, and some people are happy and some are sad. Some are ready to throw up and some are just holding on for dear life. But we want you to have confidence, to know that no matter what direction the market's going, you can be booking profits, locking in profits, and just banking that money and continuing to add to positions, because that's what it's all about. It's not about being right or wrong. I got over the concept of being right or wrong a long time ago, and now with Cool Trade, it takes the emotions out of it. I don't want to be right, don't want to be wrong, I just want to make money. That's the whole point of being in the stock market itself, is to make money. So let's take it away from the emotions and let's really figure this out. The goal for being in the market is simply to make money. And most people lose sight of that. They think it's about picking a stock or being a genius with their timing. No, many people don't know how to implement this whole concept of making money. They have one concept: buy and hold. I'm going to buy it here and sell it there. It's really not there, it's when they need the money or when they're ready to retire. It's just not a good plan. Our market moves way too fast. And we know that there are people that are making money in the market every single day, and the stock didn't have to double to do it. So learn from the pros in the market and what they're doing. What do the pros do? Well, the pros themselves, they don't just buy for appreciation. I mean, somebody like a Warren Buffett, again, who is investing hundreds of millions of dollars into individual companies, yeah, it is about buying and holding for the long term because he's so large he doesn't have a choice. But I want you to think about the stock market like real estate, because I think all of us can understand this. If you own a house and you just leave it vacant with no tenants, your reason for buying the house is appreciation. You're going to buy it for $100,000, hoping that 10 years from now you can sell it for $200,000. Now, when you think about it for a minute, if I have no tenants, I'm holding it for years and years and years, I still have all of the expenses, the taxes, the maintenance, and all of those things that come up that are very important. Stock market is the same thing. When you buy and hold stock, there's expenses. Brokerage expenses, if it's a mutual fund, they're taking a fee every single year, whether you make money or not, they're taking their fee. There's expenses to hold it. There may be taxes to pay if the mutual fund is kicking off. Capital gains that you have to report, you didn't even get the money, but you're now liable for the taxes. So I want you to think it's just like the real estate. Or we could buy it and we could collect rent. Now, when I say collect rent, what that means is, let's just say Microsoft is one of the stocks you're dealing with. Instead of just buying it and holding it, how about if we buy some and when it goes up, we sell it and we take the profit? And when it goes back down, we use the money to buy it back. And then when it goes up, we sell it and take the profit. So we're collecting rent, if you will, along the way. Now, if you do that in the stock market, well, you can create a steady stream of income. And Cool Trade helps you do that. Now, it's not going to produce the same trade every time, but you get the concept. You buy it here, you sell it here, robotically it takes the profit. That concept, that using real estate and applying it to the stock market, I think is something that a lot of us can relate to. Hopefully that was a good example for you. Collecting rent, and hopefully the stock or the real estate is going to go up in the future, but if it doesn't, we still make all the money.